doesn't happen in a vacuum, of course. It happens in families, in relationships. Research shows a vital connection between children's emotional health and their academic performance. Joining me now to talk about that connection is Dr. John Gottman of the University of Washington. While Dr. Gottman is well known for his research on marriage, he's also made important discoveries about young children, their emotional health, and early learning. And Dr. Gottman, welcome. Glad you could be with us.
Thank you, Enrique.
How did you get involved in studying the emotional side of the connection between kids and early learning, and I guess in parenting?
Well, I got very interested in the first baby and what does the first baby do to a relationship between parents. And it turns out when we studied 130 newlyweds in Seattle, and we've been following them for 12 years, when they became parents, 2/3 of them in the first 3 years of the baby's life had this big drop in relationship happiness between them. Hostility increased dramatically, fighting increased, and their parenting of the baby was really compromised. And we now know that the real cradle that the baby is nursed in is the emotional climate between parents. And so how parents are getting along really makes a big difference in how they relate to the baby and then to the baby's emotional and cognitive development after that.
And that cognitive development is actually very well connected to early learning.
Exactly, exactly. In fact, parents who are sensitive to their baby and aware of being able to read baby signals, starting with when the baby's a couple of months old, have babies who are more confident, are more likely to explore the environment later on, are more interested and more securely attached, and so they're little explorers. They become little explorers. And babies who really don't get responded to by parents wind up withdrawing from the world, and that emotional withdrawal really hurts cognitive development, hurts intellectual development.
So when a child then enters those preschool years and they're also preparing to go to kindergarten, so if they don't have that foundation set in that, that first year particularly.
Exactly.
Then it's going to hurt them.
It's going to hurt them. In fact, there's a study by Hart and Risley that followed kids from about 10 months through the first 3 years of life. And every month they made a speech sample, or a video tape recording of a speech sample, an hour sample between a parent and a child. And what they found was that the way the parents interact with the baby and how language develops and whether the parents are really polite and respectful toward the child, compassionate and understanding, whether they give the child choices, if they join in the fantasy play of the child, that child's vocabulary just skyrockets up. And in fact, most of the variation in intelligence is accounted for by the way parents interact with babies emotionally.
That connection.
That connection. Right. Very vital. Because
then the child is looking for the parent to give them that feedback, and they need that.
Exactly. Yeah. And they feel confident that they can really, the world will respond to them, and they can explore, and they become, the kids are natural learners, and they really they're active learners, we know, not passive. They create puzzles in their world, they'll see a pillow, or try to open a door, to see if they can climb over the pillow to open the door, and they'll get into trouble all the time. And they'll go back to it until they solve the problem. That's the way kids are. They just create these problems, they explore the world, and they become very active learners. But they only do that if they feel secure with the parents.
And they're adventuresome, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Today in America, the state of marriage is much different than it was, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. The fact is that, 50% of marriages end in divorce, as you well know.
Right.
So we have a lot of single parents out there.
Right.
How do they make this connection? Is it tougher for them?
Well, it's a little harder. I mean, it's harder to be a single parent because it's so tiring. There's so much to do with a kid. And when you share the responsibility, even then it's tough. Even then, it's really a lot. But when you're alone, it's much harder. And you have to establish authority as well as being the supportive friend, so there's no good cop, bad cop, when there's one person doing it. So it is tougher, but there really are just 5 steps. If parents follow those 5 steps, they can create an emotional connection.
Give me those 5 steps.
Well, the first step is really noticing kids' emotions, even smaller emotions, and considering an opportunity for teaching or getting close to the kid. The second is really helping the kid to feel understood, So being compassionate, validating the kid's emotion, really communicating understanding of the emotion, helping the kid verbally label all the things the kid is feeling, and then, you know, helping the kid really understand the feelings, where the feelings come from, and then setting limits if there's misbehavior. But communicating that even though if there's misbehavior, not all behavior is acceptable, all feelings and wishes are acceptable. And that sort of acceptance and limit setting and problem solving, if, for example, the emotion is sadness or fear, as opposed to anger and misbehavior, is very important. And those steps we call emotion coaching.
And they're all tied to early learning because of the fact that you were telling me that one of the things that you've done in the past, you actually got into this, is studying how kids make friends.
Exactly.
And all of that is a social setting and,
Right.
and how they're going to learn.
Yeah, and they learn this from parents. They learn how to connect with people from, you know, from the cradle. They just, as they begin, as a baby looks at a parent, you know, babies are born ready to interact with their parents. There's no toy you can buy that's more interesting, you know, to a baby than your face.
Right.
And there's no musical composition you can create that's more interesting to the baby than your voice. They're pre-wired, ready to interact with you. And that initial connection, if it's a sensitive one, you know, and the parent really needs to slow down because babies go a lot slower, and needs to realize that babies get overstimulated and they have to sort of calm down. And a responsive parent really creates an infant who's an explorer, who's interested in the world.
What do you want to see change, I guess, in the attitude about early learning in America today?
What I'd like to see changed is for people to realize that relationships and emotional connection are the foundation for learning. And that if kids are in schools where they feel cared for, where they feel respected and honored, then they're just going to naturally flourish. Creativity, learning is very natural to development. But it needs to be done in emotionally sensitive schools and emotionally sensitive families.
Is that something that we don't have enough of, or we don't have at all?
I don't think we have it very much at all. I mean, I think schools, for example, need to be real aware of the importance of dignity to every child. Kids are real aware that they're short, you know, and that they're not that powerful. And they have a heightened sense of dignity. And respect is very important for kids.
And how do we enhance that? In these tough times, economically, and all the challenges we face.
I think it's even more important when we're under stress to really give each other the respect and affection that is part of what families and schools ought to be like.
Dr. John Gottman, thank you very much.
Thank you, Enrique.
Fascinating.